We have all seen that scrunchies are making a huge comeback. So today I'm going to show you how to make your own scrunchies so you don't have to pay a fortune for them at the store. I have the pattern on my website. I will link to that below so that you can go and get it. It's a free PDF, so all you have to do is print it and cut it out, and then it's ready to use. So you can use cotton, you can use velvet, you can use more stable knits. Most any fabric will work for this. So the very first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pre-wash and iron your fabrics. Once you have that done, you can get your pattern pieces and you can cut them all out. After you have everything cut out, you should end up with one scrunchie piece and two bow pieces if you're using the bow. Take your scrunchie piece and fold it in half long ways with right sides together. Line up raw edges and pin together. Sew your pinned scrunchie with 1/4 inch seam allowance. Start your seam an inch down from the top and end your seam an inch before the bottom. So you should have 1 inch on each side that is not sewn. Take your scrunchie piece and turn it halfway to the right side. You can do this with a turning tool like I'm using, or you can use a safety pin. Once you have it halfway turned, match up the raw edges of the short ends. Pin them together and sew with 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now you'll finish turning the tube. Pull all the fabric out from the center. Now you'll have a really long loop. Attach your safety pin to the elastic. Once you have that done, you can thread it through the scrunchie. Make sure you hold on to the tail of the elastic. Only one end should be going all the way through. Now you can either layer the elastic one side on top of the other 1/2 inch and sew it with a zigzag stitch, or you can tie it in a double knot. Make sure it's a very strong knot. Put the elastic you've been working with down inside the scrunchie and fold the rest of the seam allowance inside. You can either seal this opening with fabric glue so it has no seam line, or you can take it to your sewing machine and edge stitch down the outside to sew it down. Stack your bow pieces one on top of the other with right sides together. Line up raw edges and pin together. Take your bow piece and sew all the way around it. Make sure to leave about a 2 to 3 inch gap open so that you can turn it right side out. Trim the seam allowance down all the way around the bow except for where the opening is. Now you can turn your bow right side out. If you're having a hard time getting the ends to go through, you can use the blunt tip of your scissors to try and push it through. Make sure you do it gently so that you don't tear through your fabric. Now you can do the same thing with your bow that you did with this scrunchie. You can either close it up with some fabric glue, or you can take it to your machine and edge stitch it. If you're using the fabric glue, you'll want to make sure that everything is totally dry before you do this part. If you're using the bow piece, go ahead and tie it on the scrunchie in just a single knot. So that's all there really is to making scrunchies. Once you've done it a few times, it becomes easier and easier and you can just crank these things out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and I'll catch you in the next video.